Same way.
Is that it?
Yep.
So it is March 3rd. This is the Communications Committee meeting. In attendance is Mayor's Assistant Barb, Councilperson Jason Camera. I almost did it. Mayor Tiffany, Councilperson Koss, Councilperson Bruger, and Councilperson McNamara. So thank you guys. I know this was kind of last minute and I think we would have been able to like wait. But the building presentation kind of came up and I wanted to touch base with you guys. And we got some more information today. So wanted to see what you guys think, any other points that you guys think we need to do. So far we got how many signs, Barb?
20-ish.
And some of them are big, some of them double-sided that we're going to get out this weekend or by the latest Tuesday. We have printing like postcards being done. Can you kind of talk about that, Barb, for a second?
Sure. The part is going to say something very similar to the post that's been on Facebook and Instagram as far as the meeting. It directs folks to the website for detailed information and to the contact us form on the website. If they have any questions or if they cannot attend, they can go to either of those two places to get info or have their questions answered. They said they could do a 6x9-inch postcard for the same price as a smaller one. So I figure we may as well do the big one.
And then the total and they're doing the postage with postage.
Yes, so they'll do printing. It's black printing on a bright green card. The other side will have the return address, the QR code, and the resident address that will be printed, including postage, and taken to the mail, 800 cards for $399. Our
awesome.
postage, tried to do them in-house, it would have been $320 just for postage.
Right. Without the card stock, without anything like that.
Right.
So that's going to go out. We also confirmed that we have a videographer. So the reason when we were talking about this building presentation, it was brought up that maybe we could record this. And, you know, because I think it started because we said, well, are we going to go live? And with going live sometimes, not going the next time, you know, but this being a different type of meeting, you know, making sure that we wanted to have this information recorded. You know, it was brought up, why don't we go commercial grade and be able to use this for not just marketing, promotions of the village, stuff like that. So I reached out to a couple contacts and we got a videographer. I kind of touched base on a couple different quotes. Laugh Out Loud Media, owned by Jacob Smith in the area, has been willing to do us a great service. We will have a 2-camera crew. We will have an intro with drone footage of the entire village, as well as a full camera's worth of B-roll. I've asked for a wide shot being shot the entire time. And then since we're going to have speakers, such as the building designers and stuff, that we have a pan in at all times. Again, we'll also have, you know, people interacting with our residents. I think it's good to have, we can use it for, I don't know what marketing we would use it for, but then again, it's nice to have, and it's going to kind of make us look polished. I think that's important. So we did confirm with him. I'm setting up a meeting. So again, I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think, if, you know, what would you like to see included? What are your thoughts on this? What would you just like to see, you know?
I'm really impressed. I'll tell you that.
I'm excited. I'm so excited.
That is exactly what I was thinking about, how impressed I am to hear all this. The only thing I would say that I would love to see us have there would be as big of a display as possible of what the building's going to look like, the inside, so that people really understand that they're getting, you know, everything that we're getting out of this. Because I'd hate for people to just see it as a bill or, you know, as just a big number, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think we need some pictures of the inside, right? Of what our building looks like. I mean, until I took the tour of the, with Stacy and the mayor, I'd never been inside that building. I didn't know what it looked like.
That's
That's
an
exactly what Brady said, the code guy, when we met with Representative Lightbody. I didn't even know some of the stuff. You know what I mean? No
Yeah.
one knows how small that police station is, and that you got our officers sitting next eating lunch to a guy handcuffed to a bench.
Yeah.
Until they know, you know what I mean? And that was another thing that came up, to do tours of our building. You can't really argue with the fact if you're walking through and you see bags taped on holes so the rain don't get in. You know what I mean? We need this building. I mean that the kindest way possible.
Who watches
Um,
HGTV? Just do a before and after review.
You know?
So just a quick overall of that, that's a great idea of the old pictures. And Barb, that's probably something that we could talk to Eric a little bit about tomorrow. If we did like at the beginning, so here was kind of like the agenda thought, and I'd already talked to Nikki about this, is the first couple minutes, obviously I want everybody from council there, but if you're not able to attend, you're not able to attend. We just kind of had to pick a date and stick with it because of getting the school rented. So we just, and you know, somebody then texted me and was like, hey, nice St. Patty's Day. Oh, well, it is.
Oh,
what
I
it
didn't
is.
even notice that.
Thank you. Okay, now I feel better. So didn't notice it, but at that point, honestly, I just wasn't going to redo the date and try to redo it. We'd already started the flyers. We are, again, having it done the right way as far as video. We'll get that up on the website as soon as it's done. That was the whole plan behind that. But when they did this for the 2999 building, that was one of the steps that they did do. They did show some of the, sorry, I have a visitor. They did show some of the old, oh, great. That's awesome. They showed old pictures. I don't know how many they showed. I do not remember, but I know in the old presentation, there were some pictures. So maybe what we could do at the beginning when I kind of do my, this is how it started. This is, you know, this has been in the making for well over probably 5 years. And I think it's important for people to realize that this isn't something we dreamt up 4 months ago and we just started this. And I know this is recorded and I know this is going to get posted, but I'm going to make these comments there. We have had one particular resident basically say we haven't done enough and I'm the person in control of this and I'm the one leading everything and I'm the one picking everything. That is not true. And it's not just the administration. So yes, you can't have 50 people meeting with Garmin Miller. That just doesn't work that way. The admin has been doing it. You know, in my opinion, the police chief should be the number one person that is dealing with what goes in the building or what he needs as far as the police department goes. So, and then of course, I know what I need. Barb knows what she needs. We're the people that work in the building 90% of the time. So the community room was something that I was, you know, making sure that the council was really on board with. And I actually had a specific meeting with them, with Garmin Miller, because I'm going to be honest. And, you know, again, I know nobody knows this, but I thought the community room was going to be too big. And I thought this building is going to end up getting pushed over budget and it's going to end up being so big, you know, all of this stuff and residents aren't going to go for it. But when we brought it to the last council, they actually didn't know if it was large enough. There is video of that one somewhere. It was recorded. It was a Zoom meeting. But I did bring Garmin Miller in there to get some of council's thoughts as well. After we had the first designs, we also went back to council. That's when they decided that they really wanted to look into bathrooms and they wanted to look into some of that stuff because they didn't like the way it was on the initial plans. Those were all redone based on council's feedback, not mine. So again, I think it's important to start the meeting out with, this is where we are, this is how it's going, and this is where, you know, this is what is happening. There are some things that we'll probably talk a little bit more about in the Saturday work session. So I really don't want to go into detail on that. But as you guys know, we did go out to bid. We did get bids back. And I think the quick version is we are still in the same place we were before. We have reached out to, or Garmin Miller is reaching out to some of the contractors to find out what happened, where we go from here. But I think it's important still to have this meeting, even though I do not have great news that says the building came in exactly where we wanted it to be and we're moving forward. Here's our bids, you guys grade them. That didn't happen. So we all know that this market is insane right now. This market is difficult to get contractors. This market is going to continue to be difficult. So, you know, the odds are we are going to put it out to bid is my first thought. It's whether or not we put it out to bid in 2 weeks or in 4 weeks. But that doesn't
Tiffany,
change the
real
fact.
quick, does that, Tiffany, real quick,
Go
does
ahead.
that mean we didn't get back bids or that they were significantly higher than the cost estimate we had?
I'm going to say it in my world. We got 2 envelopes. One was a contractor that just wanted to provide thermostat things. We did get a second bid. The second bid was what I would call just a straw bid in my world. It was a bid that was just an even number, and if they get it, they get it. If they don't, they don't. And it exceeded well over double what. So it was just one of those that, and I'm not judging the contractor, I'm not doing anything, but that is not uncommon. We were expecting several bids. We were shocked when we did not get them from contractors that had been in contact with Garmin Miller, asking lots of questions and all that. And again, I think we'll talk about this a little bit on Saturday.
Okay.
So
Thank
yeah,
you.
the information is not great right now, but I don't think that changes the fact that we need a building. We still have to get bids, and this is the design, and this is where we are, and this is we're still moving forward. So I didn't think changing all of that information came out before we had announced that we were going to have this meeting. We really were confident that we were going to get the bids that we wanted. Again, within reason, a couple $100,000. We really did expect several bids, and it just didn't happen that way. But
And I'd just like to say, I'm sorry, Madam Mayor.
no, you're good.
I just want to say, as one of the members who was served on both the previous and this present iteration of council, that Mayor Hughes and the office staff and the chief have all been nothing but receptive to input, and there is no shadowy behind closed doors stuff going on here. I just want to say that as publicly as I possibly can. I'll say the exact same thing at our big meeting on the 17th as well, should I need to. But process has been open, it has been transparent, and it has been more than welcoming of input.
And we still do. I mean, there's probably still going to be opportunities that this council can recommend different things. As far as the inside of the building, there has been some conceptual things, just like the outside. But again, we haven't said this is exactly what we want. We have picked this is what we're thinking. But again, we've looked at carpet pictures, we've done all that. And to be honest, we've really not gone that far in detail in that. You know, we've not designed the inside of the building by any stretch. We've done a lot of the technical, you know, these are the things that we want for safety and security and, you know, all the technological things. And we've done a lot of that, yes. But we have, you know, we don't have, I believe they do have some conceptual pictures that we should be able to get them to blow up. And I will make sure that we request as much hands-on visual that we can possibly get, other than just a quick slideshow. In the event we do put together a slideshow, which I am not the queen of slideshows, I'm going to be the first to admit, what we could do is also get that put online. And again, I don't know that we're going to have time to put something like that together, but I think we would, and get some old pictures and some concept pictures of this as we go forward. So we can work on that as well.
And the QR code is going to be posted on a few locations at this place on the 17th. That way, as we're discussing this and they say, oh, I haven't reviewed that, well, pull out your camera because it's all right there. Again, kind of like what Councilperson McNamara was saying, it's all right there for you to review. This is it. Take, you know what I mean? But that way it's easy there. It's right in front of them. And I think that's important. So the QR code will be there as well. So I got the old pics. Is there anything that you guys think? Now, mind you, this is the first video, the first kind of take of having the new homes. So, I mean, is there anything that you think we should definitely capture in this? I mean, I want it to be about the building, but that intro, I really want to make sure that we showcase how much we've grown. I think it's important.
Mhm.
With the marketing thing, I have an idea. I was just thinking about this. What if we use it as like a welcome to Minerva Park, like a little somehow edit it a different way and say like, welcome to Minerva Park. Like, this is who we use for trash, and this is what our community looks like. And, you know, this is the pool and the playground and all that stuff. And then like add in like, this is how you sign up for stuff, or like Rita or whatever most people don't know about. So, I mean, that's another use that we can totally look into.
And I can get that B-roll and I can do those videos. I mean, I can personally do those. Once we have this B-roll and footage, we can use it for whatever we want. That's gonna be the cool stuff. So I'm
so
excited. about
impressed
that.
with you.
I'm so,
impressed.
thanks. I'll give you the $20. I told you I'd pay you later for saying it.
I thought it was 30.
So we'll get the agenda, everything. I just wanted to kind of touch base, the mailers, Barb has been so helpful. Thank the Lord for her. She has got it to where they'll be done by Monday. So that my biggest worry was with our mail, I was so worried that we weren't going to get it done. And then our mail, whatever's going on, poor Key. Go ahead, Barb. Go ahead.
Folks at Inskeep today, he said that typically bulk mail has been being delivered within 1 to 2 days. It's first class mail that's having struggles.
I'll take it.
Not
I'll
so
take the
first
good
class
news.
now, is it?
I'll take the good news. So that is I mean, does anybody have any thoughts, comments, concerns, criticisms, anything for in regards to the building presentation on March 17th?
Gonna do the videography for free for us then?
Huh?
Perhaps I missed it. Did I hear earlier you had say this guy was just gonna do this for free for us?
No, as a matter of fact, I don't think I did say the price. You're right. It
Oh,
is
okay.
500.
Well-
He's doing it for $500.
Okay,
But that
500 is
includes-
pretty darn cheap.
That's what I said. That's exactly what I said. And I said, let's get him while we could. And you guys, I can send you all his portfolio, his website, so you can check his stuff out. Especially when we're talking about 2 cameras, drone footage, and 3 to 4 hours of editing. That's super cheap. So again, if we can use this, take advantage and use this again, take that B-roll, use it for Welcome to Minerva, anything that we want to use it for. We have that, and not only do we get one project, we have multiple things that we can use.
Yeah.
And then just so everybody is aware, because I know Mark and we have a couple of you guys on here. We did talk to Kim and Leah, and the end result was this is such an important event that we should be doing anything and everything. So 3 months from now, we don't hear, well, I knew nothing about it and I didn't know you guys were doing anything. So it's extremely important to get it on the website. It's extremely important to make sure, you know, we went back and forth between with Nikki and everybody, you know, we know we could have possibly saved a little bit of money by walking them door to door, and we could have, you know, we have enough residents that will do that, putting it on their front porch or putting it on their mailbox, but we really just wanted it in everybody's mailbox. We wanted to make sure that we know that there was not a street missed. We know that we did everything that we could to get people's attention and direct them to the website, even if they can't attend, or at least let them know, hey, there is a building. If you don't want to look into it and all of that, that's fine. Just don't come to me 6 months from now and say I had no idea. I think, and again, I'm saying that very nicely, but you know, it goes back to Brian's, and I always say this, you know, at some point you do have to look for the information. So this is your information. If you want to hear, you know, if you want to know anything about it, great. And then Barb, all you.
So for our $500, we're going to have complete editing rights to all of that video.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Of course, royalty-free music, whatever we choose. And anybody is welcome. As I sit down with him this next week, I will send out the date that he can do. Anybody is welcome to that. Brainstorm with us, telling, you know, but when we went through his price, it was 2 cameras. That way we can have that wide screen. That way we have the whole view up there. And then we also have that footage of speakers. And again, it's going to look really professional, really nice. The intro, I didn't ask for it to be too long, but at the end, also for contact information in regards to the Village of Minerva Park Building Project, please contact boom, 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 QR code. So all of it. And again, once we have this, I can get in there and cut it up if we want to use it for something else. That's not a big deal. But this probably would cost you way over 2,500 for anybody else. So we got a good deal. And I'm sorry, Councilman Berger, I totally, that slipped. So my apologies. So that's all I have on that building presentation. Just to kind of touch base on regular coffee with council. We did touch base on it. What are we thinking? What are your guys' thoughts? Every 90 days, every 4 months? And can someone that's been to one of these kind of share with us how that agenda goes? You know, how are those topics decided? Because I've never been to one.
I'll give you the quick version because I think the only other possible one might be Mark. I don't know if Mark or David was at the original Coffee with Councils. Council would come in. We had the tables set up typically like our lunch table. That was pretty common because there was not a lot of people there. Council did go. It was, with the exception of the typical I'm on vacation, council was there. It was council's event. So Lynn was there 99% of the time. I mean, she was always there as well. So it was council and the mayor. Residents would come in and there typically was not an agenda. There was they walk through that door and you have no idea what you're in for. Sometimes people just wanted to come in and say thank you. Sometimes people wanted to come in and express their concerns about their neighbors. There were times people would come in and express their concerns about the basketball court, and that could be where David and Mark had been at some. It gave residents the opportunity to come in and talk about anything and everything that they wanted to. I mean, there was no limits. We did not stop people from talking whatsoever. Meaning if we spent 1 hour talking about the weeds across the street, we did it for an hour. And I'm not kidding. At one night we talked about there was only one person there and we talked about weeds for an hour. So there was so then we kind of got to the point, okay, how productive is this? I have kids at home. I have this and that. We have one person, there's 7 of us sitting here. I'm not saying, you know what? That was what she wanted. So I'm not saying it wasn't needed. But again, was it productive? So you use your opinion. I'm not answering that.
That's what I'm asking.
So then we finally got into the doing it that's when they did it like every single month. And every single month, again, people would just come in, they would talk. Sometimes we'd bring in cookies and sometimes we wouldn't. Then it got to the point that a lot of council was just like, okay, week after week, 3 or 4 people would show up max. This really isn't productive. So that could have been sent in an email. So then we got to, let's do it once a quarter. And that's how we ended up with Coffee with Council once a quarter. The other 2 Mondays, so we would have the first Monday meeting. That second one was either Coffee with Council or a work session. So we didn't take the day off, but we thought it was more productive to get things done and have 2 work sessions. And then that third Monday, or however the calendar works, was the second meeting. So we would have a meeting 3 weeks in a row at some point during each and every single month. Now it would either be Coffee with Council or it would be the work session. That is what we did. We did that all the way up until Brian, Mark, David, I don't know when did we quit? It was very recent that we quit doing it. I would say maybe November, December, we didn't have that work session, but we had them all the way up through recent.
I mean, yeah, we had the work sessions. I can't speak for the Coffee with Council themselves. As when I came on, I was it was very close to the beginning of COVID shutdowns, but that's all I have.
And we had the work sessions, I think, until we ran out of things to do with them.
Right.
We were sort of like, we have this and that. Our monthly Saturday work session, because we had the Saturday and the Monday. Now, mind you, with that, we also formalized the second meeting. I think the second meeting was formalized before that. The legislative meeting, as I like to call it, the one that we have just so things don't take so long to work. But yeah, and I would just say, and excuse me, all we can do is try and see how it works. But I would say do the coffee with council, whatever want to be called. I would, I still think doing it on the Thursday where all council members have said I can generally be there is the smart play. Do it once every 3 months or so, but 3 months, so it's set. And then try to have something to lead in with. Obviously, if we're going to do one now, it'd probably be, okay, if you weren't at the building thing at wherever, here, a quick little thing about the building. Try to have something for, once every 3 months, there should be hopefully something that we want to push out.
Mhm.
Even if it's, hey, we're doing this sort of financing for if we can get any contractors for the building, plus some dredgers if we can get them. And then, let people talk and say what they want to say. And then, but I would definitely have sort of a time limit on the meeting.
Yeah.
Because if people will, I still want to argue about this. Okay, but it's 8 o'clock and this meeting's over and we're locking the doors. So you're going to have to leave because we're all getting out.
So what should we,
Okay, I think talking points are a great idea, but I was thinking for the first one, we just do meet the council, first of all.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. I think that's the first one we should start with. Let's figure out who these people are.
yeah.
Do we even check out? We should prove to them we check out. So that's what I'm thinking.
I think
Yeah,
that's
but
awesome.
talking points, yeah, I think talking points are good, just to be like, hey, with this meeting or with this coffee with council, we're talking about like plans for the spring, like what should, like, I don't even know, what kind of flowers do you want to see in the village, like stuff like that. Let's like have talking points so people don't bring their own, because sometimes it's not what everybody said,
Yeah.
it's not productive. And I want to make sure that the talking points are something that has the most effect on the whole village instead of like, say, to specific people or a specific street or whatnot. And I understand that that's important too, but when we do these kind of events for the whole village, I want this to affect the whole village. So I think we should keep that in mind.
Now, when you guys think of a time limit, first a time limit for the overall meeting and then speaking limits, where are we at?
Do we need to do that right now? Like, I understand that's always a consideration considering everything,
Mhm.
but at this point, I really want my vision for this, and I'm only one person and this is purely my opinion, but my vision for this is just like a friendly interaction about like, this is what I want to see for the future of the village as a whole. These are my ideas that I want to bring to the table instead of like limiting people's opinions. But again, I think we need to lead with not like limiting people, but with talking points and trying to stick with the talking points and us leading the conversation by saying, hey, like, this is what we're thinking, and asking questions and leading the discussion. I think that would be better, in my opinion.
And I think you'll know after the first one, and I hate to say, I think that's a great idea, leading in with who's your council? I mean, who are you guys, like, what did we do? No, I'm kidding. So, I mean, to me, that's great. And then you just kind of see, you can always test the waters and you just don't do it again. I mean, live and learn. I mean, there are ways to do it that way. You can't, the thing about having a couple talking points is, and this is all stuff to just think about, but if you have a limit on sewers for 15 minutes, a limit on the basketball court for 15 minutes, a limit on permitting for 15 minutes, and a limit on something else for 15 minutes, that leads to your hour. That said, the other thing is, depending on the meeting, leading up, is there something going on? Maybe, again, like the basketball court. There were, 3, 4, 5 meetings in a row. That's just all any of the residents wanted to talk to. It was the same 5 residents, which had valid concerns. They wanted to get their point across, and they did it numerous times in every single meeting. There's nothing wrong with that, but just remember that, if you don't have something, there is the chance for that one person to come in and want to talk about something that they've already talked about 12 times, which is productive for no one. So there is no right way to do it, except for potentially setting limits to, in the event you need to, having the ability, like for that, you guys could do it. Just, we're going to meet everybody. You guys can ask some questions, But in the back of your mind, have one of your council ready to say, okay, we've done this for 15 minutes, let's move on to the next. If it's a
Why-
smooth conversation and there's a lot of people involved in it, you don't need to move on to something else. But I think just having, and I'm not saying you're stopping one person, but if it's just the exact same thing over and over again, I think it's fair for one of the council members to say, look, there's other people here. Let's see if there's something else they want to talk to. Now, if they're all there to talk about the same thing. So again, I think I think you almost have to wait and do each week, maybe, or each time it may be a little different. We did do the facility building coffee with council once. I pretty much led the whole meeting. And we had a really good turnout for that one. And that was, again, we talked about it for 45 minutes because that was the majority of the reason we were there. But then once one person had the opportunity to talk, the first thing they did is switch the conversation to sewers. Was there anything wrong with it? Absolutely not, because there were a couple people there that was interested in that. So again, it was a coffee with council that was focused on the facility building. That was the reason we were there. But there was something going on that they wanted to make sure they got their 2 cents in, and they did. So, and the meeting went perfectly smooth. It was great. Had no complaints. I thought it was perfectly fine. So again, if somebody really wants to say something, they're going to get their 2 cents in.
Yeah. Do you think it would be better if we just had a rough agenda then? Just like a rough kind of like.
I mean, I think you can always do that. And I hate having these conversations and
I
always
know.
feel like we're trying to eliminate 1 or 2 people from ruining it for everybody.
I agree.
And-
That's very much what this feels like,
It's
discussion
somewhat
It
wise.
does, and I
Comfortable.
feel like we've continually done it. So I think you just kind of have to take the conversation and see where it goes. And just, if that one person is the only person there and that's what they want to talk about for an hour, so be it. But I think the only thing for the coffee with council is just making sure that if there are other people there, they get the opportunity to express why they're there. I think that's the biggest thing I'm trying to say on something like that, because sometimes that one person can overtake a meeting and then nobody else really they'll say anything.
We-
So
Yeah. And I guess, sorry,
Go
David,
ahead.
is that you? I can't,
Oh,
oh, is
it-
that Jason? Oh, I
yeah.
can't see you. I guess, sorry, I have one follow-up question too. Like the format, is it like, how formal is it? Like, are we sitting at a table and other people sit? Because that's not really what I want. My vision for this, again, is like, maybe it's kind of like, I don't know, a happy hour mingling, like you walk around, hey, what's up? Like, I'm, Councilwoman Cost, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is what I'm passionate about. This is who I am. I have cats. I love them, etc.
So we've done it 2 different ways. So that one of the very first coffee with councils, and I don't know if anybody, Mark, I know you stopped by at that one. It was a mingle. It was walk around, look at the floor plans. It was talk to everybody. Residents talk to residents, council talk to residents, council talk to council. So it was really informal, walking around. But again, there were things that people could look at that was solely focused around, again, the facility building. And it was great conversations because again, people were able to talk to different people about different things. So there wasn't just one conversation going on. How's that going to feel or look with COVID? I'm not really sure how people are going to feel with that. Again, we could be talking about 3 months from now or 6 months from now, depending on when we do it. So that could also make a big difference. With the community building being so small, that's the other thing that it's very difficult how you want to do it, because I agree with you. If you just have the tables set up, there's barely enough people for council to sit there. But then you also don't want to feel like you're talking down to the residents or talking,
Right.
At them,
you you kind of want everybody to so again, I don't think that's what you guys are here to, just because this is, and I know you asked what we did in the past. Those are ways that we've done it. That was just, again, coffee with council. Most of the reason we quit doing just the basic coffee with council is there was not a turnout.
Okay.
Yeah.
There just wasn't.
Oh.
I think
If
we
there
should just do
isn't a
one-
turnout again, if there's not a turnout again, then there's, we can visit it then, but it's definitely worth a try restarting, in my opinion. So I'm happy to see it.
And I
If it
think
don't
once a
work, we can
quarter.
always-
Sorry. I think
No,
once a
I'm sorry.
quarter would be good because
That's
like,
what I was saying.
yeah, like it's not too much. It's not like it happens all the time. So you kind of take it for granted, in my opinion. Like the seasons are changing, the discussion is changing because I feel like our lives are seasonal in a little bit of a way too. Like my priorities change in the wintertime. Like I care about snow removal, and in the springtime, I care about like what kind of flowers are we gonna like plant and like what kind of activities are we going to do in the summer? I care about what's going on with the pool. So I feel like we at least will have talking points, and at least it'll be engaging and informative. And like, I guess our priorities change.
When we did do specific events, we did see a larger turnout versus a coffee with council. So we, like I said, we quit doing the coffee with council, did them once, you know, and Diane did the building thing, and then we did the building thing again. I feel like we did something else, I can't remember, but there was always more of a turnout when it was not just throwing 6 signs on the ground and the coffee with council signs and putting it on the calendar. So when you did do a little bit more, there was definitely people that showed up. I mean, that last facility building coffee with council that we did, there was a pretty decent turnout. Many people I'd never seen before. And I think anytime you see somebody that you never saw before, you're doing something right.
Okay.
I think if we have,
Sort of the whole point of my format of it is that we have 15 minutes at the beginning. 4 times a year, we can come up with something that's important to push out.
I agree.
Be it the building, or let's see, we're at March, April, May, June. So it'd be June, whatever's going on in midsummer that we want people to know about or is important. If we're at that point, hopefully East Shore would be done by then. But you know, if it wasn't, if they were having problems and it was coming up, we'd be like, okay, everyone, this is those shovels are going to be going in the ground hopefully long before June. But if not,
About
hey,
that.
East Shore, we know this has been a problem. Here's why. Here's where that we now have the date, blah, 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 blah. We just want to get that out to you. And now just any questions you have about anything, just, you know, take that 15 minutes of important information we need to get out as a different way. So people know if they show up, it's not going to just be listening to someone complain about their neighbor's weeds. It's going to be, here's something that's important to the standing of the whole village, and then turn it to the open floor and let, you know, things. Although the one thing I will say is I was at those basketball meetings, Mayor Hughes, and I don't know if I would say that basketball courts attract the wrong kinds of people. I don't know if I'd give that as a legitimate reason, but that's just how I remember it. I might be remembering the bad parts and not the good ones.
Wait, what? Did I say something?
Some of those lead up to the basketball court. I seem to remember one of the largest objections to it was basketball courts attract the wrong sort of people.
Oh, I didn't
And,
say I liked yeah. No, the
Athletes?
And I don't know that I would consider that a valid reason.
I hate when our
No,
village.
yeah, I see what you're saying now. No, I'm just saying they were concerned about, no, you're completely correct. Because there is one thing everybody will know on here, as I am in support of the basketball courts. I was one of the people that was completely in support of it. I had teenagers. So it's something for these teenagers to get out of. So yes, I see what you're saying. They were concerned about it. A lot of them were concerned for different reasons. But yeah, that reason was not a valid reason.
And Mark, before you say all that stuff, I mean, I was going to talk about this during the planning meeting, but the East Shore Court project, as of today that I found out, it will be delayed, and the start date is now June 1st. So we'll talk more about that later. It's very disappointing. I'm very upset.
Stop at their June coffee for council.
Yeah,
I
perfect.
mean, at this point, every single project I have going on has been delayed. So it is not a surprise to me. I actually found out last week. If anybody is in any part of construction, you will know that there is not a project that's going to get done on time. And I've unfortunately accepted the fact that this is just going to continue. Every single one.
It's everywhere. There
It's
is so much delayed in every strict type of work.
Yes. I'm going to stop everybody for 10 seconds because Jason has tried to say something 3 times because I saw him. So I'm going to let Jason talk real quick because you'll never be able to talk over me. So there you go.
No, I was just thinking as we were talking about signing or having the topics, we could always spend that, you know, the first few minutes as people are coming in, mingling, seeing if they have a specific topic they want to talk about. That way we can make sure we address them, they get their opinion, or we could even put like a list by the door and say, hey, these are the topics we're talking. If there's one that you specifically want to address, they could write their name on it. That way we would know, you know, maybe we need to spend a little more time on this one topic because more people are showing interest in it than a different topic. And we can also kind of feel the room out, right? And see where we might need to spend more time.
We can also do a post asking people,
Yeah.
you know, what do you want to talk about?
Yep.
You know what I mean? That way, I think it makes everybody nervous walking in and not knowing how it is. I'm a very visual person. I'm still sitting here trying to visualize this meeting. It's just the way I work.
Mhm.
But walking into something, not knowing what's going to happen, I think just is very nervous. So again, if we can put that out, we're asking what they want to talk about. Again, this is their meeting. Now we've based our talking points. Again, if we want to add something, say we have an update here, this and that. But you know, the rest of our topics were all chosen by our residents. It is what they talk about, want to talk about. Let's go into this. We have an hour. How are we going to cut it up? We have 6 topics this one. We have 4 next one. Let's cut it up appropriately. You know, if we have to move it around, we move it around. I think that's an awesome idea.
It's almost
do
like
it like
the green
every
cards or
month.
something like that, like a green card at the beginning type thing or something along, like, I mean, that's the first thing I envisioned when you said that. But yeah, just like writing down a topic that when they walk in the door, I think that's a great idea.
I feel like green cards though is like, I feel like it's just like not open. So it's just like a secret like ballot. But I feel like if a list that, I don't know, a list to me as also a visual person, I feel like it gives me structure, but it also kind of
Mhm.
tells you where the majority lies with all of this. And we can just pick the more popular topics. And you're right, like a Facebook post or something too. I don't know. Some people, I will say like my older neighbors who I've loved dearly kind of oppose this whole Facebook thing half the time because they feel like they're not involved on Facebook, or not everybody is involved on Facebook. So they feel like they don't have a voice. So maybe like physically the people that are present, or we do like a hybrid thing, but I do think we should include the people that really, you know, don't have a voice online instead of just excluding them from both sides of the, you know, a public meeting as well. So
That's
it's
exactly
something to
why we did,
consider.
that's exactly why we're doing the postcard, because we do forget
Yeah.
about, we don't, but you know, most of the time they feel left out. I have somebody that calls me quite often. I talk to her regularly. She just calls me to check to see what's going on. She is the sweetest person that lives in, I shouldn't say this. She is one of the sweetest people that lives in the entire village. I've known her forever, and she just calls to see what's going on because she's not a Facebooker. She is not on the website. And she gets her information when she calls me or from the newsletter. She absolutely loves the newsletter. So that's where they get their info. So she's not the only one. We know
Yeah.
that there's plenty of people that get their information from the newsletter, and they get their information, not to go backwards, but we did put save the date March 17th in the last newsletter because we wanted to make sure that it was known. It did direct them to the website, but also with the signs being out, a lot of those people will probably see those. So I think that, you know, we did get it in the newsletter because that was the other reason we didn't want to change the date.
I think that's true.
Do we want to call it Coffee with Council? That's my only other thing with this.
They changed it last year to something with something. And I honestly, Mark, David, if you guys could help me out on that. They did not like the Coffee with Council because number one, there was never coffee and people don't like it. And I think that's the problem with wine and cheese. I think they need to call it something else because I don't drink wine and I don't eat cheese. However, it was really fun when I went. So I think it's important that the name is that. I think part of it is this, and this may sound really dumb, and maybe the new council people can answer this, and David and Mark. The building is not inviting. You have police cruisers sitting right there. I felt like the first time I walked into the community building, I was walking into the police department. I think so many people have never stepped foot in that building. You know, there was a comment, and you guys probably heard it really recently that, you know, people are afraid to come in here because you guys da 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 da. I don't believe that to be true whatsoever. I believe the building is not inviting. I think that people are kind of leery about walking in there because they have no idea what they're expecting. And I don't know how you guys felt the first time you walked in there, but when I had to go in there for a permit my first time, I thought it was the most random, weirdest thing in the world. And I did not feel comfortable walking in there. And I knew no one in there. So I think you still have people that may be like that. Maybe I'm just weird. But when this person made that comment, that was just something that I'd always thought I felt weird walking in there.
Yeah.
Put some balloons up front. Is that cheesy?
I don't know. It's just not inviting. I feel like I don't know what, I wish I could remember what I was expecting when I opened the door. You know, was I expecting the police department to be sitting right there? I don't remember, but I don't know. I would love to get ideas to get people to not feel like
Maybe prop the door open so it's more inviting. I feel like that double door gets me every time, and I feel like I did something wrong because it's just
Yeah.
like you open one door and then you have
Yeah.
another door with a padlock right there.
Right.
So I
Okay.
think we should prop the door open whenever we can, not in the winter time, obviously. I know it's cheesy, but balloons up front, like, I don't know, who's gonna be mad at balloons? Like, if you are, then maybe you shouldn't, you're not invited, I guess. Just kidding. But something
think
that's a
there's-
little bit more cash, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
There's
And
those
calling,
there's those exterior things that always make a building a little more welcoming, the lighting that's outside, having good signage outside. All
Yeah.
of that stuff really kind of helps make it welcoming.
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
a welcome sign, like a welcome banner
yeah.
from
Yep.
the dollar store.
And just simple things in the parking lot, like, hey, main office this way, police department this way, little things like that. And maybe they're there and I've just always missed them, but
Yeah, the lack of signs too makes
Yeah.
me feel like I'm trespassing.
it could be a little more lit up in front of the building too.
Mhm. Okay, coffee with
Awesome.
council. Yes,
Awesome.
no,
So are we saying leave it coffee with council? What about?
Cocktails with
What about cookies
I
with
would be all for
council or cupcakes with council?
okay. Cookies with council.
Yeah, sure.
Anybody a
Yeah, I'm not too
diabetic?
concerned
Speak
with
up now.
potatoes.
Just
Just
some, as
remember-
long as
just-
it's informal.
Yeah,
Just-
not complaining with council. That's the one I want to veto.
Exactly. Now, just remember, what if you use a food thing, you gotta at least bring it.
Yeah,
Because that's what we stopped. I mean, there was never, as long as I was there was never coffee.
What-
I brought in cookies a couple times or whatever, but
There's
if you're
a
gonna do
Keurig
something,
machine right next to the restrooms. There was always coffee.
Ugh.
okay,
Made
true.
yourself.
You got me on that one. There
What
wasn't
about-
like coffee sitting there.
Then you don't have a food obligation, just ask council or questions with council. Questions
That's
for,
it.
Chatting with council.
Chatting with council, I like it. That way, if one week we bring treats, great. One week we don't, we're not held against for it.
Okay, I did see a bunch of signs when I went over there to get fingerprinted. I'm not a criminal, but I went over there to get fingerprinted like yesterday, I think. And I did see a bunch of coffee with council signs with coffee mugs. So,
We're
We're
redoing
doing
them
it.
for the signs for the, Barb has been working on them. Those
Oh.
are what was being used for, or some of them are being used for the building thing.
okay, so no obligation with that. They're not new or anything.
No.
No, but
Oh.
I'd like to, I'll look at like doing like chatting with council and coming up with a cute little logo with our village or something. And again, we can still brainstorm. We have time. I just kind of wanted to get what your guys' thoughts were like every 4 months. I think that's perfect. I think every month is too much. I do. And then when you push it out to 4 months, you always have stuff to talk about. There's always stuff to fill that. Why does it say I'm about to raise my hand? So we always have that. So if is anybody else got anything to talk about that? And I mean, again, we can email back and forth if you have an idea. I'm open to anything. I just want it to be informal, however, productive and a good time for our residents and they're just another venue for them to be able to speak and talk about the things that are important to them with us. But I think we should adapt and do that first, meet the council as our first one. I think we should kind of go in with that. I think that's an awesome way to open up chatting with council. Who the hell am I chatting with? Well, this is who, you know what I mean? I think that's important. So let's go with that. Does anybody else have anything on that one? Okay. Survey. So the survey, I showed all you guys the one from 2018. So I went down and met with our planner, Eric, and he actually reached out to Pete DeSalvo from DeSalvo Development Advisors that did the last one. We got a quote of all of it. However, we're very far from needing funds or anything like that. They would collect the data, do all the subscriptions, do all the questionnaires, tabulate, summarize all that for us. But the fact is, and if someone needs a copy of that, I will happily email them that because it's so beneficial to have that. what are some of the new stuff that you want to see in that? I definitely 100%, especially as what we'll talk about just next. And our last point is going to be that email software update. That's all it is, an update. But we can collect our email addresses with this thing. Again, just what do you guys want to see added with this new remember, the survey was done way before our new development, way before any of the talks of, pathways, anything like that, that planning and zoning is doing. Any of the projects that we're planning right now. What do you think are some of the topics in this survey that you guys would like to see in it? Like from one side to the next.
Oh gosh. That's a hard one.
No,
And it's nothing we got to have the answer to now. Just keep, be thinking. Yes, Bart.
you're on mute.
About that, like making a list and asking the residents to prioritize condition of streets versus the lakes versus, the list of kind of projects that are currently in the works, and asking residents to say, of these things, which is most important to you, kind of thing.
Awesome.
Or list them in order or prioritize them somehow. That's all.
I think we hit most of our committees, right? How do you feel safe in this neighborhood?
Yep.
Do we have enough police? All that,
I have
what
a
do you feel
feeling that
about
the
the
numbers-
pool? The whole thing, right? I
Yeah,
think we kind of
that's
hit
pretty good.
everything.
And again, if you guys need those, I'll send it. I think it's awesome. We don't have to add too much. Eric did want to kind of add the pathways. What do you feel about adding pathways from that side? I want to say that.
We don't know
side.
where you're pointing.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Over by Jordan to get into
My
the rest
street,
of the village.
Park Lane? That
To get
side.
over
Thanks a
by you
lot.
to get into where I'm still pointing.
Okay,
Yeah.
can
To
I
get
just, Park
Over
Lane?
by the community building and not
connector-
have to do the whole walk around wrap and
Okay, what you're
Yeah.
trying to say is the Park Lane connector to Wildwood or somewhere. the
is
rest
that
of
what
the
I'm
village.
trying to say?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
we've
That
been trying
is.
to
I
figure
guess
out,
that's who-
we've been trying to figure out a way to get Jordan Road, Park Lane Court connected to the rest of the village. At this point, we are the only street now that does not connect to the rest of the village. So
That's
in
it.
order for us to not cut through somebody's yard, we actually have to take Cleveland Avenue, which, as you guys are fully aware, is not the safest option out there. So it's just, we're trying to figure out a way. There are some potential
This way.
options. Um,
can you
to-
see that way?
exactly. Yeah, that's what we need. We need to go.
Yeah,
cover-
we've been looking into this for a while too, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
we've actually, it's been talked about for probably 20 years, but it's really been brought back to the table for the last 3 years. Even more so since we have 3 people on planning and zoning that live over here. So, it's one of those things that they, just like in the new development, there really wasn't a voice over here that said, this is missing. Like, when are we going to get something like this taken care of? So now there are 3 people over here, and now with Stacy, there's actually 4 people over here between planning and zoning and council and myself, that it would be nice just for us to be able to get over to the pool, get over to the playground, get over to the basketball court. We have a lot of kids over here that just can't
Oh my
safely
God.
get to
Right.
we can't use any of the amenities without going Cleveland Avenue. So yeah, we have a lot of kids, if you're counting.
Right, and I'm sure
Yeah,
that
I'm
makes
counting.
people feel disconnected. You
Yes.
know what I mean? It does
Yeah.
add a level
Absolutely.
of feeling disconnected, you know?
But then there's more to the pathways. And again, I know this is communication. So, but the other thought of the pathways is basically to get us from Cleveland Avenue to Minerva Lake Road, all the way down Minerva Lake Road to Westerville Road. And then to where we could actually get to the Westerville pathway, which is the Elm Creek, whichever. It's to try to connect there. But again, you got to go under the bridge and do all this kind of stuff. Don't know how it's going to work. There are places like Morpsey. There are places that could help us. It's just a matter of, it is going to be very difficult because if we do a pathway and actually do it all the way down Minerva Lake Road, you're going to have some very upset residents because it's going to have to go on one side or the other. You can't go zigzagging. So, but in my opinion, that is one of the next really large projects that needs to be taken a really hard look at with these 2 brand new schools and getting our kids to school
Mhm.
safely that are going to walk.
Mhm.
Yep.
I
So
agree.
I'm a huge, when it comes to this, safety comes first. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it at that, because, you know, if I run for mayor in 2 years, there's gonna be some people that don't like my comment when it comes to that, but safety comes first. These kids come
Mhm.
first. So
Yeah.
if they had to take a little bit of my front yard, they would be blessed to take a little bit of mine to make sure that these kids aren't walking in the streets. So,
Yeah.
but there are people that do not agree with that. And I'm not judging them. But that's something that it would be nice to know what a lot of residents have to think, but it would be Minerva Lake Road that would come down on.
Okay.
So
Sorry.
what if I know there's kind of a separate entity from us, but I think if we could do anything for the community association too. Any questions around their events that they do, things like that. I'm sure they'd love that feedback.
And it'd be nice, show some camaraderie, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Which is
Right.
good.
Or at least just an appreciation post, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think, yeah, I think taking a look at the original questions, we're gonna probably cross off a couple of them, change the wording on a couple of them, and I can't think of it right off the top of my head, but it would be nice that if anybody comes up with a question, email either assistant or email if Nikki's gonna take control of it, every once in a while, just pop her over a question and be like, I think this would actually be great. Because I can't tell you in the last 2 or 3 years, number one, how many times we've actually gone back. Okay, first off, I was not a fan of the survey. Be the first to admit it. Thought it was stupid. But I can't tell you how many I did. I thought it was dumb. But I admit when I'm wrong. That's the one thing you guys are all going to know about me. I will admit when I'm wrong. So we've gone back and we've actually looked at some of the questions and some of the answers. Number one, for communication, the police department, different things like that. We've actually looked at those questions and answers. And it would be great to get an updated version. As you guys are aware, we have 250 new houses. But the other part to that is, how could we, okay, maybe we didn't get the answer we were looking for. So how could we redo this question and get what we're looking for? There were some questions on there that I thought, really, are we ever going to use this? And that I'll agree with. I think there could be some better questions, but we were really involved in the questions. And I'm also going to say that, but again, I was too stuck in my way, like saying that this is stupid anyways, why are we doing this? So knowing what I know now, I think that these questions could really be helpful in
Okay.
asking the right questions the right way.
So
Jason.
Nikki, did you actually get a quote? Did you say you got a quote on this already?
Yeah.
How much was it? I'm just curious.
Let me pull it up. I just
Or
had it.
roundabout.
Okay, so similar to the work in 2018 with whatever revisions we wanted. SurveyMonkey subscription, work with clients to write and design all the questionnaire, provide their links, tabulate and summarize results in similar format as the community survey, providing client with all crosstab data. Total is $2,200.
Okay.
And Eric recommended that this is something that we do every 2 to 3 years, and most villages and cities do this to stay up to date and know where we're going and what we need to do.
So are you thinking about us doing it this year, or are you trying to plan it for next year, or what's the thoughts?
I'd like to see if we could do it this year.
Okay.
I know right now with the building and all that, we have a lot going on. So I know that we're gonna have to probably be a little bit patient, and I want it to be good. You know what I mean? If we're taking stuff out, I really want to make it good.
Did they recommend a time of year that might be better? Is there a specific part of the year that you get better responses?
I don't know. That's actually a really good question.
I think we should do fall, because most people move in the summer, and people with kids and stuff like that. So you can capture the people that are just moving into the village instead of capturing people that are, say, for some reason moving out, even though like all my neighbors said they're like dying in their houses. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It might be hard for them though to give some good feedback if they're new to the village.
Yeah. But
Mhm.
on the other hand, you don't want somebody that's like leaving and salty too, or doesn't care and just
Sure.
doesn't
That's true.
participate. So I don't know.
The one thing I
Winter?
would say is the sooner the better for all of you that are here for 4 years. It would be nice to get this first initial thing out.
Yeah.
To
Okay.
give you an idea of, and I know you guys have mentioned it numerous times, that, we really want to involve the residents. We want to involve the residents. Well, if you guys really want to know what the residents are thinking, this is one great way to do it, to see, what are the answers? Because again, we didn't get a huge turnout, but they said it was a good turnout for what it was. But we've learned a little bit from communication. I know you're always going to have somebody say we don't communicate enough. You will always have that. But I feel like having these other different avenues that we've created just from, even Instagram to our text blasting and the updated website, which is much more user-friendly than the one that we used to have. What are you saying?
Sorry, my microphone wasn't working, so I was testing my microphone. As that was my microphone test. That's
I
why
was
it was
like,
just
what
random
was
noises.
that?
Licorice.
That was my microphone volume, input volume got turned down somehow without.
My
You know,
goodness.
seeing if I-
So he is not in charge of
Did not mean to
communication.
interrupt.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think for you guys, it would be nice to have the information sooner rather than later, because
Yeah.
now you guys will
Okay.
have over 3 more years to really see where people feel like you're, and again, some of these questions are gonna be based on what you guys do and what you don't, how do you feel about communications? How do you feel about, again, the safety committee,
So,
all
so
that?
Nikki, can you send us that survey?
Yeah,
Because I
I sure
haven't seen
can.
it, so I don't even know what questions were on there.
yeah, because
I will
that's
send it
jumping
to
into
each of
that.
you.
Because didn't we talk about how it was like a little like spammy in a way that people were like getting
You-
like your personal like,
You didn't like
Commercial
it
info?
because they were asking where you were shopping. And I agree to a certain extent, but I was also thinking, if we ever want to do advertising, do you understand that we could walk into this place and say, oh, well, it's funny that you say that, because we are a village of demographic this, and it says that 78% of people use your restaurant.
Mhm.
Do you see what I'm saying?
you have a good point.
Yeah.
You know what
but-
I mean?
No, you have a great point, but I think as a personal, like I'm a skeptic and I assume everybody wants to steal my data or do whatever. Like maybe we should be like, hey, for marketing purposes to make sure that like our village is blah, blah, blah. What do you think of this? Can we put that in there? So like the motives are known up front, so it doesn't seem sketch.
I think it should definitely
Yeah.
be like that.
That's
Yeah, I don't want it to
good
be sketchy.
information, but if people aren't gonna take it because they feel uncomfortable. Now,
Yeah.
when you were mentioning the list of services, you were talking about Survey Monkey. Is the survey that they're proposing all digital based, or are there going to be mailers for people who are not online?
Ask that. I think that's an awesome question.
Yeah, because can't
I-
we get our
I'm
own
not
Survey
sh-
Monkey?
I feel like last time people had the ability, and David or Mark, you must not know. Okay, for some reason, I feel like they could come in and take the survey at the community building. In the
Oh, I
event
see what you're saying.
there was something, don't quote me on that, but I believe that was a thing. I don't know that anybody did. I don't know if it was a paper copy or if we just helped them log in and they could take it from our computer. I don't know how it worked, but I do believe there was an option for something. So that would be something we would definitely want to do.
I believe there was a paper option.
Okay. That might have been what it was.
And
Yeah,
then-
as many options as possible, I would agree with.
And for
Got a community-
budgetary purposes, sorry, go ahead, David.
We've got a community that still likes to use, a large portion still likes to use checks. So I mean, paper surveys would not be a bad idea in my book.
I was gonna say something intelligent. Oh, in the interest of saving money, because you know how I roll. Is there any way that we can kind of do it ourselves if it's a Survey Monkey because it's free, or is that like not something we can handle?
That's what I was trying to think, but go ahead, Barb.
So the quick answer, or not the quick answer, because you guys are going to do what whatever you guys feel is best. One of the best benefits is once we got all of the results, and this is, make sure that this is part of the thing that, and I'm assuming this is what you're sending him. The document that I believe she is going to send is all of the results. They analyzed everything, went over everything. This company then came in and explained exactly all of the results, what it actually meant. But they came into one of our council meetings and they actually went over the results, or a work session or something. So it wasn't just the survey. It wasn't just, let's put it on Survey Monkey. And then it shoots out a bunch of stuff, because again, there was a couple hundred people. So unless we have Barb sitting here tallying up everything,
Yeah.
but it was like in a really pretty spread, like, again, when you see it, I think that will also answer a little bit to that. And I'm not saying SurveyMonkey doesn't come back with a generic or not like a beautiful printout just like this. Maybe they do. But it was, we didn't just pay for, and again, I'm the person that said this is stupid from day one. It actually came out, but here's what I will also say. I'm shocked to hear the price that she's saying, because for some reason I remembered this being over $10,000 the first
Insane.
time. Do you remember that, Barb?
I remember some big number being thrown around, but they also do all the number crunching, and they made, when you document, you'll see they put it in the pie charts and and did all the number crunching as well. So unless you could find someplace like Nikki and I had talked about contacting the stats department at Ohio State and seeing if there's a graduate student who needs a project that might be able to crunch numbers for us if we didn't feel like we needed to hire an outside company. But I don't know what the chances of that being successful are.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds reasonable, but it's always good to ask. Can we do it cheaper?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Wait,
That
going
sounds
back
like
to
a really
this.
good price.
Yeah, it does.
I know.
I asked Eric because I could have
Is it too
sworn
good
when
to be
you guys
true?
said 10K. So when he said that, because I was there when he forwarded me that email, and I was like, so this is for it all? And he was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think we get the benefits of them. This is what they do, so they could also help us with the right questions to ask too.
And they
Right.
did.
So,
And that was part of the process. They actually
Yeah.
brought someone in at one point
mhm.
that actually helped us word the questions the right way. Like, it was an entire meeting on how to word these questions. Like, this
Huh.
was not a one-stop shop, here's your questions. And I mean, this took weeks to put together.
Right.
Okay.
I would be curious if one of the reasons the price is so low, when it was mentioned a SurveyMonkey server, what have you, if it is just an online only and something from SurveyMonkey, all they're doing is we'll write the questions into it, we'll put it in, we'll monitor it for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, however you want it to be live. And SurveyMonkey, yes, we'll make all those graphs for you. It'll tell, Google Forms will make all those graphs for you. How many people answered this question this way? How many people did that? Whereas you get a lot more money into it if you are doing things like, and we're going to mail out physical copies, because now you have printing costs, mailing costs. You do have someone who's being paid to open an envelope, scan in or transcribe that data. Whereas, we know how we're good at setting these surveys up and can help you craft the questions and then hit send, and people click on it. And once they click on it, we have the data and it goes into the chart. Not a lot of back end work there. So that
I'll
might
ask and
might
clarify.
Yeah, you
contribute to the
just-
different price.
Nikki, I trust you. I just feel like you're going to do all that research. It seems like you have a lot on your plate too,
I have 5 plates. Did you know?
Oh,
I have one big plate holding all my other plates.
gotcha. Is 6
No,
what
I
you're
know,
looking for?
It's a good point. I'm
Yeah, what are
going
we
to
getting,
email
though?
him and
know?
ask him, what's the worst that can happen? We find out something.
Right,
Mhm.
exactly.
You know?
And then, yeah, but at least it's better to go in with more information. But I think even if it is a SurveyMonkey and it's just that, and we're paying for a consultancy fee, I think we can make it happen that the residents that still want to take it, that don't have a computer, or don't have access, have some sort of access in the community building. Granted, Barb is on
Mhm.
board because we're going to just put more stuff on her plate instead,
All
so.
of a sudden you start to see Barb.
Yeah, Barb's like disappearing like from the screen. Okay, I've been holding this in, but now I just can't. I have to say something. I have an idea. My idea is still with chatting with council. When we were talking about planning and zoning, like I think we should invite them to one of the meetings to do like a guest appearance, for lack of a better term, so we can all like be on the same page. Because I feel like we have one liaison, but like, I don't know.
That's the first time I spoke with Brady.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He is a really awesome guy.
Yeah.
Like, he is very friendly. His energy is amazing. And some of the stuff that he was talking about, like, I'm sitting there trying to be all professional, not get excited when they're talking about all these stuff, all like some of this new
Yeah.
stuff that's going on. And I was stoked when they were talking about some of the stuff. He was
Yeah.
really nice. So I think that's a good idea. Have him at that.
Yeah. Not to brag, but
Um,
he lives across the street from me. So
I thought he was so nice.
yeah,
So, and he knows his stuff.
he sure does. He's a lobbyist. That's like his
He
job.
knows his stuff. He
He
does.
sure does. Yeah.
So I will email, is his name Pete? And get more information. I will send everybody that survey. That way you guys can see that. I will also include, is there a specific time of year? That way we know, we'll just ask. The last thing I have to talk about, and it's just the update, our email software, those keywords. I just went through the training, so I'm going to get a little bit more familiar, and we're going to do a 30-day trial. So you guys might, I'll let you guys know, but you might get quite a few test email, I might have you guys do some testing and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I think this is also going to allow us to, for real, and we can do anything, building updates. So say you have Mr. Broger that only wants his newsletters and only wants his building updates. So he can go in there and he can do that. And we can go, it is so easy to get in there but we can also send what I say is MailChimp or a constant contact, a mass communication system where we can send out a email. As a matter of fact, I wish I could show you this, what I'm doing right now. Here, it's a mass campaign builder. So this is what I'm doing right now for Zero, correct? And what it is I put all that stuff in there. My email addresses of everybody in the village are automatically loaded. So say something happened at the pool today, blah, 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 blah. The pool is shut for the next 48 hours. I mean, it's that quick and it goes to everybody's email. So now we're not only just opening up, bringing them their newsletter through email, any pool updates, last minute details, all of our meetings. But if we need to get something out there aside from text, this is just as easy as sending that text reminder. And I mean, this is something that I can do. It's painless. It really, really is. So not only are we doing these subscription keywords, but we also get a mass communications, platform that we can use for anything. So I think it's awesome.
And we've already put the money aside for that, or we already approved it, right?
Well, it was brought to council twice with Diane, and that was, I think that's why I really am sticking with it, because I asked Diane what was the one thing that she really wished that she would have finished, before leaving, and she really wanted to see this email stuff, and it is. I mean, I think we're even going to see with our survey. I think our numbers, what we're going to see, I think we're going to see a lot of them go up. But I think that is going to be the one thing that we are going to see. People want email. We want convenience. That's it. We want convenience. Send it to me. I don't want to look for it. Send it to me. I'll tell you I want it once. That's it. And it's just the method of preferred I said medication. Communication. This is my fourth meeting for the day, people. So yeah, it is preferred, and it just gives us so much opportunity. But again, before I do this trial, I want to make sure, again, I've done the training, but I want to know it like the back of my hand so I can utilize it the most for that 30-day trial.
Good.
So, and I can send you guys those videos because they're very quick and it just shows you what we're looking at. So, yeah, that was the update with that. I will send everybody the survey. Does anybody else have anything to talk about?
All I got.
No. Okay, well, we can move to adjourn. I appreciate every single one of you guys.
We appreciate you too.
Yeah, we
Okay.
definitely appreciate you. You're a rock star. Thank you for doing all of this.
Thank you.
Yes, go ahead, Berger.